Okay. Gratitude, welcome in. And I let it run. I usually don't let it run like that, but patience is the name of the game. Slow and steady wins the race is the name of the game. And that taking on a new definition, and patience and having space for the context to be explained. Because every time I do a two-dimensional shit post, we have to look beyond the two-dimensionality of what we're reading. And for me to gracefully, with the logic, resurrect the fallen intellect and the fallen emotion, just to kind of bring it out of that two-dimensional scope, and where negativity could get trapped in that two-dimensionality of just whatever the fuck we're reading, right? So the graceful intellectual reminder here is, let me get this sound right. The graceful intellectual reminder here is like, there's a resurrection, and, you know, and within the spirits of just, you know, the planets, there might be different types of erections, you know, no pun, or your pun's intended. There's a resurrection with the intellect, right? And from the resurrection of the intellect, then there's a resurrection of emotion. So there's a particular resurrection, and then there's an energetic, not necessarily just the humans, there's an erection, right? So let me close this back door real quick. Click. Click, pop, click, hot. Here, Thomas. So I closed the back door. And this is not clickbait. This is not your typical click snack. Click bop. It's like, trigger nigga, this is the tip top. No pit stop. This the tip top. This the cream of the crop. This the creme brulee. This the creme de la creme. Creme Shaw A. Creme Kremlin, gremlin, shit, yo, tethering, yo, westling, hustling, with unwithering, yo, tittering. So I, you know, maybe I could grow another head, and one of the heads could just be spitting and hopefully grounding that spitting, and then one head could just be explaining some shit, and then one head could just be an observer, right? So like, because there's so that's the different types of shadows, right? And I took I'm actually gonna do the astrology, because I have like, you know, oh, okay, so I went to close the door. I was talking about patience, then I did a mini spit, but I'm here to talk about the astrology and the business synergistics of the soul work. And it keeps going. It's right here. It's yeah. So me explaining outside of the two-dimensionality. So that's So I left off with resurrecting the intelligence. One head just spitting, focusing on some hopefully quality spitting. And then one, you know, kind of reiterating the recent findings, right? And then the wisdom of it. So, and then the observer. So there's four heads. There's four heads. One was the wisdom. The wisdom is there's a resurrection in intelligence. So I caught it. There's 4 points here casually. But the fifth point is segueing into the astrology. So for me to bring some ground to the chaos of your mind, as I've done billions of times without you even knowing it, because this is the real beyond time thing for real though, mind you. So I'm explaining with the grace of intelligence, I'm resurrecting false intelligence and doubt and liberating you energetically outside of the two-dimensional post, and that two-dimensional post being perceived in many different ways. Obviously the monkey mind will think it's intrusive when it's not necessarily intrusive. So it's like we're perceiving things about it could be intrusive. We're stuck in like the not good, not bad. We're stuck at level 1 on the esoteric level. We're stuck in the false perception, the wrong perception, the mishmash perception, the sand, the line in the sand, smeared sand perception, the sand in the glass window, and the sand having different colors. Now it's a rainbow sand. Now you can make art in the sand and then frame it in some type of glassware, and now there's sand art. Like obviously that's already a thing within the Neptune thing. So I'm going to cover all shit in the astrology of this shit, and I'm trying to emphasize like there's a particular resurrection in some type of spiritual intelligence respectively. And what that means is like there's like we have to ground ourselves in a more pure perception, perhaps. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Ground yourself in a more pure perception. We're perceiving it at a rudimentary, detrimental, distorted, quote unquote, metaphorical monkey level, end quote. And I'm not trying to offend any monkeys here, because those monkeys are fucking strong as hell, right? They're like every monkey, even the 270-pound bodybuilders will get smashed by a fucking monkey, because monkeys and gorillas, they're like naturally like 5 to 10 or whatever the accurate logic fact is. They're like extreme, they're like more stronger than humans, right? So like the predecessors, they're energetically beyond the beta humans in an esoteric science level. So aside from getting fixated with old, outdated, like, you know, tangly fucking intelligence, and us getting caught with the false, confused, elusive perception of anything, of a different type of original anything, because I've heard it all on a different lens or whatever, we're seeing that there's different dynamics going on. There's different possibilities that are coming for new perceptions to be made, right? So respectively, the perception evolution and the mold and the build of the perceptions energetically being recreated in the inner engineering of you are endless. You know, it's a particular open source endless, right? Literally, like the real endless before the word itself. There's a real energy notion before all of the words were used. They already had a different bearing of it's a phenomena, and they're doing their fucking thing openly, right? From a source, original open source, beyond your open source. Naturally saying that, casually saying that. And I'm going to dive into the astrology. I'm going to just start off with some casual wisdom. And let me see, let me look at the notes. And just how some of y'all don't give a fuck about me, I do the same, you know. I graciously caught game and do the same on the new mainframe, main, on the new untamed tame, on the new different type of energetic exterior brain. You can't hang on the hang freight. Hate fringer, harbinger, harbringer, stinger, linger, ringer, drinker, drink you dry. Is that what they trying to do when they see you? When they in the vampiric club, all lights out, to red lights, the white lights, the yellow lights, the blue lights, the vampiric club shit, dub shit. Okay, but anyways, I could like I'll do that later. So the quality, the attempted quality spitting, that's kind of like a work. It's a reworking, right? So everything that we're embarking upon, it's some type of reworking, because we still obviously we are multifaceted human creatures. Hello, 2025. So since we're multifaceted creatures, that means our focus splits off. So there's a splitting off in the focus, in the mental intelligence, there's a splitting off. So since there's that splitting off, all of that shit is getting tested through the different notions of life. And not good, not bad. We forget what we were once doing on whole different places aside from the earth, and the earth being an energetic place where we could just kind of solidify that in which we are as a soul and a spirit, right? So like there'll be a time where I will get with the spitting, and the original spirit lyrics of my shit casually will be recognized. And the quality other fucking tech that could help my lyrical career, that's in its own workings as I'm going through the real universal challenges of life, like Saturn mechanisms, like halt, stop, and like compress, like maybe even detrimental, like somehow the karma's got you into the detrimental Saturn. Now somehow the universe is like, there's places where people go to jail, right? There's places where now like Alcatraz is open, right? For a reason, right? Because people are leaning into different types of negative karma, and the universe is ultimately orchestrating for whatever we're perceiving to be is controlling, when that's not even really in control in all respects. You know, energetically saying that now the universe is like orchestrating the go ahead for something or the no go ahead for something. And within that go ahead for something or no go ahead for something, that's what's making the dynamics of the situations and circumstances and scenarios for them to even be what the fuck they are. So it's like, it's a partial co-creation of no choice, no choice, no choice, because we all have our own no choice within the other universe of no choice, no choice, endless no choice. And within that new choice, new choice. Yeah. So it's quote unquote, no choice, our new choice in the present choice to recognize other people's no choice and their new choice, and all of those choices, no choice, coming together and then splitting apart, no choice, new choice. So that's the paradox of free will, no free will. And I'm not trying to condescend anybody who's like doing some natural shit. Like, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm just trying to see what's going on the esoteric science level of the two-dimensionality shit. It is what it is. Just how some of y'all don't give a fuck about me. I do the same, you know. I caught game. On a natural level, I don't give a fuck more, because I'm fucking, that one theme is helping me do this, right? So there's different themes letting me come up here to do what I'm doing, how I'm doing. One is I really don't originally don't give a motherfucking titty fuck. Second, I have to do this because this is my no choice. Third, I have to do this for a whole different, bigger picture balance, right? And fourth, there's different, motivations, hopefully like in a different, and just a whole different higher octave respectively, while having critical intelligence to see the lower octaves of it, and just seeing like, the point of this video is resurrecting the intelligence from how we get caught in a perception, and we're rigid in there and we're stuck there, and the perception itself energetically of the different themes have consecrated in detriment or untrue illusionary energies, and now the perception is on a stronghold, right? In the energetic, perspective, as we're going through our own solidification course from different spirit to different human physical incarnation, now there's an esoteric stronghold, right? Ourselves versus ourselves within the bigger picture. Because if you're like, but obviously everything has their own mechanism. Because if something's trying to destroy itself in just a different example, then and obviously that could be done in so many different ways, because you see Ouroboros eating his own tail. So it's like, in a different, more advanced way, Ouroboros is eating himself. So obviously that's a different conversation. Obviously there's different predecessors who could I guess cite the dating and the archaeology and the first findings of when Ouroboros came about, and then different wisdom peers having different experiences, maybe meeting, like, I guess, quote unquote Ouroboros, and then maybe being there and seeing and understanding why is he eating his own tail? Like, it's his. So there's different types of no choice. That's what the spiritual community doesn't get. There's a new no choice. There's a no new choice. There's a no choice. The no choice is the energy is leading us here to find out what's next. That's why you're doing everything you're doing, because you're trying to get out from your fucking field of miscellaneous chaos, different chaoses that you're more or less participating in, and you're trying to find some stability within the fucking field. Hello, on some background shit, and then on a casual surface level dynamic, you're trying to find out within the logic and the intelligence what's next. That's why this is what it is. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. That's why you're following up. We're seeing, particularly within the esoteric science of things, what's next. And then you see, for the billionth, trillionth time, the surface level replication catching game to the original shit. Hello, young baby 2025 AI, respectively. But obviously, it's not just, there's a parent AI here too simultaneously, and that parent AI, we have to, that's like that could be it, because like obviously I've read so many different books and I've done so many different underground pieces. Like there's still gaps to fill, right, within all of this shit, within you embarking upon your career and being ignorant to like global, like quote unquote different types of war, not good, not bad. But that war, aside from the evil dynamic, you still have to there still has to be some type of stability, right, collectively, right? So if we don't fucking recognize there still has to be some type of collective stability aside from whatever perceived evil thing, right, not good, not bad, then you're going against yourself, and you have holes in your you have gaps in your intelligence, because you're not necessarily needing to know that you have to work with what's supplying you balance and order and stability. Because without that balance and order and stability, then there's nothing to fucking stand on, right? And that could be proven on a different level. But like so the main wisdom point of this little piece right here is resurrecting the intelligence, right? It's resurrecting, and it starts this from the beginning, because obviously and feel free to say whatever you will, when it's appropriate, right? Because obviously someone someone could just make it like a obtrusive comment, right? And let me look up that word, and let me pause for it, because I'm like I just have a different flow, right? So I'm gonna look up I've read a lot of books, so it's like, what's the definition? Who's that? I don't. Obtrusive. Noticeable or prominent in an unwelcome or obtrusive way. Yeah, that's it right there. Obtrusive. For me, what's obtrusive is these untruthful energies that are just, there's something beyond good and bad. There's a different dynamic that's aside, that has nothing to do with per se evil or good, or like I like you, you like me, or I hate you, I love you type of shit. There's something on the side of those things. There's a whole different dynamic, right? And what is that dynamic? There's something beyond I hate you, I love you. There's something beyond I'm an evil thing, I'm a good thing. And what am I talking about? There's a different dynamic within the multifaceted concept of the human, spiritual psyche that's in the fallen state of the consciousness out of the Kali Yuga. Is there's a concept theme of things being not necessarily evil or good, but there's things that are just like, and evil and good, it's just a perception. There's things that are just vampiric, right? There's things that are like just trying to they've lost their way to get a source energy, original open source, like on some just natural shit, right? Respectively. And I'm careful with how I'm wording it, right? Because I'm trying to make it make more pure sense, right? So I'm even careful how I'm ordering the words, right? So mind you on that one too. But there's something aside evil and good, and there's something that's there's something that's just aside, it has nothing to do with evil and good. It's you could be evil and still not vampiric. That's a mature quote unquote evil being, so, a quote unquote. And I don't even believe in evil. I think it's just an energy. But the thing is, we use that as a scapegoat. We use the evil good thing as a fanciful illusion, right? We use the evil thing as just another mental distraction for us to prop up just because we're concerned. We're like, you know, we just find out, we found we found, you know, our narrative in some type of unique distraction because we don't necessarily have another way to look at it. So, or we perceive something as evil because maybe we're ignoring the evil within, you know, the offsetness within, right? So I don't even necessarily believe that evil exists. You know, that's a topic, that's a different topic that's already been passed over, right? So it's not like, if there's different like universal mechanics making things to press in and grind things to be what they are, and like just some crazy fucking universal matrix algorithm, right? Original open source or whatever, shut the fuck up type of shit. We get it. But like if there's some type of universal matrix mechanics type of shit, then from that universal mechanics, matrix mechanics type of stuff, it's ordering some type of build and alignment. And as we're passing through that, we could express temporarily what we're perceiving evil to be. But there's even the concept of evil splits off. What's up? So I'm talking about like mental energies splitting off. And then aside from mental energy splitting off, we act on those mental energies and we ride the circumstance of how energetically we're perceiving something to be evil. But within that evil is getting misperceived as maybe energetically what evil really is. Energetically is it's just vampiric, you know, just only me in a crazy amplified way, and I'm gonna take in a whole imbalanced way. And there's something vampiric in the consciousness. So thank the predecessors for because I'm just like I received this like I'm just flowing with the reception I've already had, right? Because if there's themes in the human design about how to receive, when to receive, why to receive, and that comes in its own circuit orbital travel, and we could have already been doing that energy work with receiving on a different level, then I've already received some type of like, you know, predecessor intelligence, and I'm seeing where it's at with me in the pre-evolution of shit, right? Because we have to like, to know where we are going, we have to know where we came from type of shit, respectively. So within all of that, what I'm saying here is like, there's a different context of evil, and it's vampiric. And what we get confused about is we don't see the vampiricness in how we're propping up a false definition of evil, and we're getting lost in the words. And as we're getting lost in the words, yeah, you do yours, I got mine, you get it. Blipped, yeah. Honestly, okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, brother. And if you have any casual questions or real like simple remarks or critiques, let me know. I try to order it. The key with my whole content is I try to order it and sequence it in a pure way, respectively, in a super ultra pure way. And obviously, like, you know, the subconscious, we all like do the same shit, right? The subconscious, you know, we're all like multifaceted, hyper intelligent creatures already, because the subconsciousness is storing everything that it possibly can from the shared collective darkness, the quote unquote neutrino field. And I've done a neutrino podcast in like 2019 in the underground. And if someone critiques me off key, then let's do some mature, professional, different, particular, perfect comparison type of shit. But we all do the same thing to like settle the hatred, right? Because I could taste the hatred of fallen consciousness like it's a fucking walk in the park, and they do not know what they do, Father. It's confused energies infused with multifaceted energies of war. So the essence of like hatred is, it's a buildup of different confusion and aftermath war effects that the war could have been lost, right? So if the war is lost and cultures are raped in 1800s, Indians are raped and then they get conditioned and pillaged. And then after centuries later, there's a buildup in the ancestry genetic DNA karma. And now it's still going to suppress that shit in a negative way. Then there's different vantage points of hatred, and there's different vantage points of confusion that the Matrix is upholding. And that's the essence of hate. And you don't know what hate is because you're just leaning towards the after effect of different agendas of hate for you to be confused, numbed out, and unaware of some shit, and you just get the after effects of someone else's hate, and you don't even know the hate that you have is someone else's hate. You don't even know the feelings that you have is someone else's feelings. You don't even know the shit you have is just some hand-me-down, passed out, esoteric, strandy, fucking garbage, bunk-ass, danky, dirty, fucking slinky, slurky, motherfucking robotic, fucking slinky, Chinese AI, fucking remote control slinky type of fucking shit. It's like you don't even know what fucking real hatred is. It's just, you're just a byproduct of some shit, hand-me-down shit, to fucking receive other people's shit on an energetic subconscious level, where you receive some shit within the field and you don't know how to clear it because casually within Kali Yuga, because your subconscious picked it up, and now you don't know how you're repeating patterns subconsciously, and however the fuck you repeat and replicate. And shout out to like certain university articles that will even, like, how many university articles within the findings, how much of that shit with what advanced, 25, 55, universal intelligence, how much of that shit was just fucking, intellectually raped and copied and shit like that. So it's like, that's the thing right here. This is more advanced intelligence than your beta obsolete AI, most respectively, energetically saying that. Because if standardly, even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, at the start of the internet, somehow, there was already protocols of like, if you could read my watch history, pause, beta obsolete intelligence, if you could read my watch history, then others could read yours too. Yes, sir. Let's trip out one day. All in good timing. Yeah, I mean, it is right now, though. So they say. So here, pause with the intelligence. If you could read my watch history, then others could read your watch history. Because if someone in the future could say like, oh, we saw that you did see that, and we saw how we know you did quote unquote copy, then if they could somehow were to say that to me, then that would be the same case for you in a different central database infrastructure system, even like respectively in the deep CIA of it, even before everything of Microsoft in the esoteric science perspective, right? So there's a different mainframe, right? So if you could read my watch history, then others could read yours too. But for what? Just to see like, just for a different record, to prove some other shit in the intellectual, mature, professional, esoteric courtrooms. That's why. And just to prove some original shit and solve some original shit and fucking blast all your fake ass, confused ass, petty ass rhetoric out the fucking Richter like it ain't shit, for real. And that and that's dedicated to like just all the confused fucking sad ass intelligence. The detrimental and stricken, demonic intelligence, a particular context of demonic, over accumulation of confused, detrimental, emotional, intelligent emotional energies, and now that's being used in the vessel, and now that's creating their unique aspect of hatred, right? Because you don't know what fucking hatred is unless for real you were the original receiver of your villages getting raped, right? Or some type of jealous control dynamic didn't go your way, because this original esoteric intelligence is seeing the source of even hatred. And why is it important to see the source of hatred? So you can see the source of love, because supposedly love is the most powerful thing ever. But if there's the most powerful thing ever and there's a precise quote unquote perfect opposition of that quote unquote hatred or fear, then for you to even uphold your love, then you would have to know what fucking hatred is. And without knowing that hatred, then all love is lost. And if all love is lost, then all power is lost. Because if love is the most powerful thing, and then love would be the source of power. And if power is lost, then that's your unique hatred. So esoteric science, I'm the first person to define hatred. So you don't know what hate is because you're just away from source love on a confused way, because that's where your subjective bias beta spirit has taken you on some original respective esoteric science shit, and God could read your mind, punk. So the wisdom, spitting, reiterating the recent findings, and seeing how things are organized and formatted already, with it more so within within Venus doing her shit, right? So Venus is formatting things on top of Saturn, and Saturn being like the gatekeeper to this Venus shit. And we have to go through Saturn already as we have. Everyone is already going through that transit of Saturn. As you're born, you're on a certain recollectible field with it, and obviously the hatred energies are stored in there casually within the esoteric science, because I'm the first person to esoterically scientifically define hate, and y'all can fucking hate me, and I hope you fucking do hate me, because I'll just I'll be grateful that you are ungrateful for this fucking bliss that's even a possibility. And how is bliss possible? How is bliss possible? By original fucking shit, like original everything, right? Original open source. And God neutralize all, harmful thoughts in the field towards me. Thank you. I believe that. I believe that. I believe that. I believe that. I'll reprogram myself. I'm the original programmer before the fucking replicated things. Be way beyond Joe Dispenza. Because I'm saying I'm doing it in a way entirely different field, right? In a whole different category, right? Because I mentioned it like that first, right? So since I mentioned it like that first, now it's an energetic possibility of it, right? So within that, so I'm reiterating the recent findings, and then then there obviously, so staying grateful, off the whirlwind of it, staying grateful, because we all have to go back to do some type of quote unquote peace work, right? Some type of tranquility work, right? So we could we're intellectually reapproaching how we sustain tranquility by observing things. But when the observer is observing supposedly self, quote unquote, all is one, and the oneness starts attacking you, then the observers upon the different observers, they're observing something they don't like in themselves, a different proxy context channel, original open source, of the universal mechanics, right? Because the universal mechanics, there's a no choice within how it's saying it's a go or it's a no-go in every fucking passing moment. It's either a go or it's a no-go. And just because it's a no-go right now, it doesn't mean it's a go later. So we're grounded with the gratitude, beyond the two-dimensional perspective of it. Why are we grounded in the gratitude? Because we're seeing, we have the higher intelligence to go beyond the two-dimensionality shitpost of it, and we're seeing how we could be grateful for how we have a ticket to keep going, to strive and thrive, particularly in a different context, towards the future sovereignty. So there's a deep gratitude aside from the two-dimensionality real shit. So there's 5 things I'm talking about, the lyrical shit. I'll get to that, and the freestyles that I spit here. I'm not even trying, if I were to really write some shit down, and then reiterating the recent findings. That's I explained that, and I'm gonna cruise past that. The wisdom, I'm getting through that. The observer, casually, and how there's many different observers, there's many different shadows, right? And what is the shadow? If I refer to my notes in a unique way. So there's a shadow projection. So there's different aspects of the shadow, right? We're multifaceted beings, so we have a multifaceted shadow. So within that multifaceted shadow, original open source, most respectively, within that multifaceted shadow, there's a projection, right, from the confused past energies of Kali Yuga and the fallen habits, the fallen mind, the fallen intelligence, fallen emotions, fallen quote unquote everything, us coming out of Kali Yuga. The spaceship of a new Saturn complex is shifting out of a certain place of the solar system that was endarkened, and from that endarkened energy, our character itself is a particular system shadow, right? We're an individual shadow within the system, and that shadow could project, and we could use our Saturn to just do like pretty much anything, and wherever we find ourselves in the Saturn circuit, right? The Saturn circuit just being us being born in some type of unique simulation projection system, and we're moving through that, but it's not all that is. And now our character is getting formed, and we have a unique shadow within the system, the Saturn, part of it. So there's different types of the shadow, right? So the 5 points so the grounds of this conversation is, reiterating the recent findings. I did that. The wisdom, did that. The observing stuff, I did that. The lyrical stuff, that will be prepared, did that. Now I'm on the astrology part. And then after the astrology part, I'm going to read this book. Blah. Chapter 6, written communication. So pretty much this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I read there's some stuff I like. There's some pretty funny stuff in here. So I read the subject headliners in a previous one, but I'm gonna read chapter 6 to its finish. And then chapter 7 is how to run a business meeting. So I guess Business Synergistics episode 10 is how to run a business meeting. But here we're grounding Mercury somehow, some fucking how. Chapter 6, written communication. Maybe I'll read the book and then I'll come back to the astrology after, just to make it a unique sequence. Ooh. That was weird. So I'm going to read this book. And then after I read this chapter, it's like sub fuzzy. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. He wants to tickle you in a snare. Beat that snare drum like a crash cymbalin. Drum step kicking it. Drum step cymbal clash clash cymbalin with the cowbell, and the cowbell with the different clap sound, with the different clap click, with the different click pop. It is not clickbait. This is not miscellaneous type of trivialist Fenilil, this is so incredular, yo, granular, sand particle, your eyes, this motherfucking earth, like it ain't nothing super, sir, my super size, everything. So I'm doing some fucking thing with the headphones, and now, like I'm speaking, I want y'all to try this, pause. So you could say whatever the fuck you want, obviously, but as whatever you're talking, maybe just read so it can be more natural. Put one headphone in one ear, read a paragraph, and then read another paragraph and switch headphones and see and tell me what that does to your brain, right? You're covering off. So it's sensory work, right? So we're gradually doing this, and obviously like the sensory deprivation, those water tanks, obviously, and if that's a new trend, I don't really care, I'm just saying it's not what you do, it's how you do it, It's like if people want to repurpose my shit and not and just kind of just low key energetically sustain their lives in a vampiric fashion where they're just living off. So it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. I'm like beyond the two-dimensionality of my post. I'm recognizing casually there, and it's not even just the race, but some races there could be some unique tribe in Africa where it's just pure there's some random emphasis on replication, but so there's data thieves kind of. So if we don't ground the intelligence and recognize there's certain types of data hoarder thieves, pause, and there's no casual solution behind data hoarder thieves in this age of innovation, then why the fuck are y'all even calling it the age of innovation? I'm just saying there is a particular context of data hoarder thieves. like on a mega fatty, right? So y'all could put that in your fucking cannabis, and I'll give that one to you because I'm generous. But this on some mega fatty shit, it will be solved by a different fucking alpha intelligence, right? The intelligence is a different field, fucking a different phenomena of it, right? So within mega fatty, so I'm just cruising with that shit. Like, aside from the two-dimensionality shit post, there's more explanations that need to be had. And for me to say that it's miraculous, because it's not to entrap ourselves within the lower octave intelligence and us get fixated in a redonkulous fucking way in just a two-dimensional post. But if you do that, then there's a lot of emotional work you have to do, because you're pouring all of this emotion on just some dumbass, like, confused stuff, right? And that's like that doesn't need to be a thing. So I'm saying, if the shoe fits, then lace up on some original open source shit that was already cited on a different way. Just saying. But I'm just saying, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And there's people that could just, like, and for me to, like, by the grace of God, for me to just be like in a surrenderous spirit on a pure natural metaphysical level or whatever, I'm just recognizing it. I'm not necessarily, like, overly bashful by the grace of fucking God. I'm just recognizing it because I have advanced intelligence. So that's like, so the miraculous intelligence is saying how you can move beyond the lower octave emotions of lower false perceptions of how we dwell over a two-dimensional post, and we don't know the full entirety of its meaning, right? So we don't know the full entirety of the meaning of a two-dimensional post. We're just caught up in a two-dimensional post, and we need guidance, hence the fucking schools. And I'm not judging the education, the old school German system, but the education system, it doesn't need just the old school German, because the education system is old school Germany, right? So since the education system is old school Germany, and all the nations are saying they have motherfucking sovereignty, but they don't really fucking realize the roots of this shit, so there's a particular absence of sovereignty. Why the fuck are you all even saying sovereignty when you don't even know the fucking real energetic essence of sovereignty? It's recognizing, seeing different roots and how they have a particular rigid institutionalization, and how you have some type of newfound sovereignty, and somehow you could be warring against that country, but still on different strands and trends of it, you're subscribing to that industry, such as, just for a standard example, any country, fill in the blank, is still subscribed to old school Germany education systems. Because how did the education get originated from the predecessors' knowledge? They're saying it happened in old school Germany. And if we're still conforming to old school Germany within the education system, there's a lack of a particular sovereignty, because the education system is in transformation and evolution, not just from old school German perspectives. So the essence of the education system, it doesn't have to be from a raw, rigid, quote unquote, energetic detrimental standpoint from old school Germany, naturally saying that. Thank the predecessors for all this shit. So this is the real advanced original intelligence, because I'm clearly gracefully transcending all of the bunk ass thoughts and then and beliefs and behaviors. And in turn, ironically, then the emotions get lifted up after that shit, aside from Mark Zuckerberg's copycat shit in magnitudes we can't even explain and fathom casually, but me not judging it because he's just caught up in an artificial octave fucking pursuit of it, right? It's just like he's akin to, like, investing him shit literally in a Borg path. So it's clicking. It's not by coincidence. The subconsciousness is revealing. The positive subconscious light is revealing this shit. No judgment. Original intelligence. So it's like, so why is the subconsciousness saying he's likened unto Borg, and he's affiliated and invested into just detrimental intelligence by fucking having a weird curation of, like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't have this creativity, we have to mine it first when you didn't even mine it, and we're going to curate it in such a sketch ass way, and we don't even recognize that. And we don't even see, like, And now we're at the turn point pivot field of like, we're seeing what the subconscious is saying naturally, right? Of like, oh, there's memes of like, does that mean something? But so there's a connection there. It's like, you know, Saturn being in this not good, not bad, but there's some type of artificial path or technical path, right? That coexist and have like a pairing strand, right? Artificial technical is Saturn. And now we're overly invested in that. And now we're having fake ass narratives to say we're something when we're not. Because if you're really going to honor and applaud the advanced AI and the technology and the innovation, then for it to be transcending whatever benchmark plateau you're on, you're going to need absolute authentic truth. And without absolute authentic truth, you know, miscellaneous things could occur in the field. And if miscellaneous things are occurring in the field, that's your fault, your responsibility, because you're voting for that lack of clarity. So when accidents happen, it's like, is that the universal mechanics language and how abstract things happen and it's beyond the human intelligence? Because people are having so much rhetoric where they're saying, we can't understand this shit, but there's starting points for shit, right? So there's just these particular types of does within the scientific field. So if you could read my watch history in a different perspective vantage point, yours could be read too, respectively. And I'm saying that just for a certain type of more balanced, advanced artificial intelligence to actually just do that, prove its intelligence, and just to have like a different so also there's a subconscious solution within that, right? It's delivering and upholding the truth digitally and artificially, not good, not bad, and a new solution is coming from that. So that's why the authentic truth is needed. So without, and Facebook doesn't have that authentic truth energy in it, right? Entirely. So without that, that is not necessarily in the year 2100, right? Or 2101 or whatever, you know, just to like, you know, see, you know, we're all on that trek from the predecessors. We're all having this relationship with the predecessors and the godheads. We all say we don't need them. Then we go back to all of their fucking titty ass shit. Right. So it's like, we're back and forth. It's like, you don't know whether you're fucking coming or going esoterically. Like, I'm here. I've been here, motherfucker. I've been here with the original intelligence. I've been here all along. I knew what I was doing all along. I knew what all these other, you know, scoundrels were doing all along. You know, everyone has their intelligence or lack of. Everyone has their, you know, not very well good. You know, everyone. I'm not going to comment on it, but everybody has their, you know, mask, right? So I'm going to go to the astrology, or I'm going to go to the book. And I'm going to finish the point I was saying. So yeah, it's just like, there's a particular, the intelligence is just recognizing it in a different notion context of natural open source. There's a flowing recognition that's pairing with the natural open source, right? And that flowing recognition, esoteric intellectually, is upholding the natural open source and the progressive, benevolent, artificial intelligence evolution technological field channel. So by recognizing that shit, a different natural open source could be apparent that's in a balance oppositioning the detrimental artificial field, the number one original logical savior, and you fucking know it. And I will recognize that ungrateful card towards me. The universe will recognize that ungrateful fucking shit. So I'm gonna read the chapter, and then I'll go to the astrology. But let me hit the Tao real quick. Let me read. All right, for sure, brother, for sure. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, yeah. Kudos, brother. Yeah, respect, brother. I'm going to read chapter 59. Chapter 59 of the Tao. And obviously, like, I get those, I understand those massage chairs. They fucking could take you to a fucking, those massage chairs. It's like, yeah, it's like we, you know, for us to balance, like for us to like sustain the innovation, the sour pill is advanced truth. And not everybody likes advanced truth because they have biases against it for whatever fucking reason, right? So obviously I get how like tech could be in like so many different things, like, you know, like furniture, right? You know, obviously, and it's a natural open source, like even in the like the elementary schools and the schools, right? Tech is there, right? But for us, it's up to the stewards of original consciousness to bring tech in a balance, not just an artificial detrimental way, right? And the subconsciousness doing what it's doing, no fucks given, right? So it's like, we have to balance the detrimental artificial innovation, because if we don't, that's an offset disalignment energy that's transcending people's evil and good energies, right? And that evil and good is just a bunk perception, right? The mechanics are what they are from these hardcore fucking godheads of the universe, right? And y'all can fucking hate me all you want. You can cringe at me all you want. You can gag at me all you want. I don't give a fuck. Chapter 59, to govern the human and serve the divine. To govern the human and serve the divine, nothing compares to frugality. Only frugality brings early recovery. Early recovery means buildup of power, buildup of virtue, and you master all. Build up virtue and you master all. When you master all, no one knows your limit. When no one knows your limit, you can maintain a nation. When you maintain the matrix of a nation, you can last long. This is called making the root deep and the basis firm, the way of long life and eternal vision. So let me reiterate and revisit one of the two-dimensional shit blog posts I put is like, when I say quote unquote 99% of, you know, the spiritual radical woo-woo is like, it's bunk, it's because we're in the Maya. You're catering somehow on a foggy, unconscious way. You're catering to the surface level Maya of things, where everything is a dream and everything is unreal. So if everything is unreal, the only thing that stands behind the unreal and the surface level matrix shadow of your individual subjective self is, we're a collection of unreal energies with real energies. So there's a paradox where it is real though, you know, because I'm not going to say everything's fake, but in a paradox, there's a paradox here. That's what I'm saying. Like, so when I say like 99% of it is fake, it is, because it, you know, the realness is hidden within the majority of the fakeness, right? And we're swimming in the majority of the fakeness. And since we're swimming in the majority of the fakeness, we're propping up fake rhetoric and ideals within the realness, right? Respectively. So everything that I'm saying it in a metaphorical way, and I'm saying it in a different context. So if you're perceiving my two-dimensional shit blog post, you have to pause and restart some shit, right? So I'm recognizing, not good, not bad, there could be just data hoarder thieves, right? And we can't necessarily per se do anything about it. That's what we get for risking our shit on the internet, right? I come to that realization, right? You know, original open source. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, so that's the thing. There's a risk. There's a particular risk within it, right? But if there's certain confused energies and denominations in quote unquote United Nations, then that's a flaw within them not necessarily being able to intellectually recognize foggy energies and approaches and ways of being and modes of being, right? So if there's a certain, you know, quote unquote governmental grouping that's not recognizing a problem and a solution, and that's not recognizing how data law is broken, casually saying that, then there's a flaw and there's confused energies in the quote unquote United Nations, naturally saying that. Because if there's supposed to be some type of quote unquote international law, and things could be, they could be quote unquote rearranged and repossessed, right, in so many different ways. And that's how you kind of quote unquote simplify Saturn magic. It's some type of there's some type of retransfer, a particular type of like grouping of a repossession, right? And within that, that's not just, but that the repossession, that's not all of, the Saturn magic. I'm just saying that's like one of many. And it's like, whoa, shout out to like, just shout out to Australia for a second, they have their different unique relationships with quote unquote, magic, right? And they have their own unique relationship with Saturn and Venus, right? But they're still fucking around with the other shit too. So it's like, they could emphasize shit in a different way. So how we contrast the countries is their emphasis. The countries that are subscribing to their religion, not good, not bad, they're emphasizing different planetary energies, how they will, regardless of the denomination of the remixed religion, because even all the religions are remixed, right? Different types of Islam, different types of Christianity, different types of Hindu Vedas, right? So there's different reiterations from and it's going away from a surface level transit away from a different source that you have yet to experience, right? So Australia, if they're good at magic, they're doing it in such a way where they have to be emphasizing certain energies in a unique way than others, right? So, but on one stasis of it, like there's still a unique vantage starting point of a Saturn dynamic, right? And within that Saturn dynamic, the Saturn dynamic is, the trades of energies, right? Not good, not bad. The tradings of like material energies and the contracts, right? And how the contract could bind you per the materials that are being traded, and how you have to work for the materials and the contract. That is the Saturn magic, right? So, and I know this really is the best shit. I know, you guys. You'll realize that later. And in my underground 2018, I was still the best too. But y'all don't know that. Oh fuck. So should I do the astrology first, or should I do the book first? Let me read chapter 59 of the Tao again, because that was luck shot Lily Billy. That was blah blah. And it's cool. It's not what you do, it's how you do it, I'm just saying, like, if there's a quote unquote abundance to share, but some people are just somehow ironically greedy with the vampiric stuff, then you're a bad representation of abundance. Like, people are representing abundance in such a sketchy ass way, because obviously we could all inspire each other because there's a shared abundance of spirit energy, right? So, and that's the source of it. So if we're like trying to just like, cop some shit and be greedy and vampiric and quote unquote have different contexts of confused evil, and evil is an esoteric energy thing that is subjective to the individual, and evil is ultimately not true. It's just a fanciful idea, and it's a delusion, and it's just an energy, and I've defined it so many times. Then you're just like, you're just a unique, everyone's a unique, energy needer, right? Not good, not bad. But when the energy needing is overly toxified in the Saturn matrix, then what is that? We've explained it many times. Chapter 59, to govern the human and serve the divine. To govern the human and serve the divine? What he say, LaFonda? Nothing compares to frugality. Only frugality brings early recovery, LaFonda. Early recovery means buildup of power, LaFonda. Build up virtue, LaFonda, and you master all, LaFonda. When you master all, LaFonda, no one knows your limit, LaFonda. When no one knows your limit, LaFonda, you can maintain a nation, LaFonda. When you maintain the matrix of a nation, LaFonda, you can last long, LaFonda. This is called making the root deep and the base is firm, LaFonda, the way of long life and eternal vision. So this is the ultimate line in the sand. This is the ultimate boundary even. This is the ultimate You know, you could say even gate, even, right? This is the ultimate discrimination, right? In an energetic way, not the human discriminate. It's the ultimate discernment, right? There's a eternal vision, and then there's a lower octave fallen artificial vision. And those could just be used in quote unquote evil or good, right? Which is just an energy. So that's why evil is quote unquote on one side of it, it's confused. It doesn't know it's an energy, that the universe is doing the same shit that you're doing. So should I read the astrology first, or should I read chapter 6 first? Man, maybe I'll save the astrology for tomorrow, because I feel like, you know, I did like something of a pre-astrology. So I'm going to read chapter 6. I'll save the astrology for tomorrow. Yeah, I'll save the astrology for the whole timeline, episode 9. So why is this series called Business Synergistics? To see how we could show up and offer something genuine. So I'll save the astrology for tomorrow. So why is it called Business Synergistics? If I could be off tangent or whatever. It's because we're recognizing the rudimentary level in the spiritual business, respectively. And obviously, you know, mind the flow of the shit, I'll mind the risk of it, right? So I'm mindful of the risk. I'm mindful of it is what it is on so many different flavors, and just to keep going and let, really have a different type of trust, right? A discerning trust, right? So the ultimate, I miraculously cleared that part. So the business synergistics is saying preparing the offer, right? Preparing the offer esoterically, right? We're seeing the different types of wisdom in astrology, and then we're going to the basics of business and relationships, right? So preparing the offer to be mature with the relationships, and low key, relationships are also in the foundation of business, right? Respectively, just its own casual sense, right? Because it takes some type of not just a written communication, but a working communication to hopefully harmonically do it, right? And sustain it, right? Respectively. So if anybody has their weird random criticisms about me, you just gotta do more homework, right? That's pretty much it, right? You just gotta do more homework. But chapter 6, written communication. All right. All right. You don't have to be a great writer to write effectively. You just have to be clear about what you want and state it directly. If you have difficulty putting your ideas into words, your problem lies here. You are not clear when you fear being rejected. You hide your intentions when you fear being tested. You cannot be clear expressing ideas to others if you weren't clear about them yourself. The belief that you are clear but have a problem expressing yourself is a self-deception. If you're not clear, you either don't understand what you are talking about or fear examining your own position. If you aren't clear, you don't want to face a risk. If you aren't clear, you probably haven't thought your idea through.
Perhaps you only have half an idea. That's fine. Just recognize it as such. The best ideas, the ones that have really reshaped the world, were only once incomplete notions, elusive suggestions that something could be.
Going beyond the two-dimensionality. Ideas develop as you seek to complete them.
In other words, when you try to be clear about them.
Yeah, so the astrology, tomorrow's episode, the whole timeline, episode 9 with the astrology, it's going to be a good one because the astrology notes that I took, they were on, I feel like they were on it, right? And I sprinkled a little here and there. But so tomorrow, the whole timeline, episode 9, and then a different science chapter of the Chaos book, that's tomorrow. This is Business Synergystics episode 9. So
in other words, when you try to be clear about them, becoming clear about your intention is the essence of all direct communication, and especially of good writing. The other person wants to know what you mean and what you want. Your communication should answer those questions. Anything less than an open, honest, and clearly written letter is a failure in communication. The letters that no one bothers to read. Letters like the following are common to mass mailings. In other words, when you try to be clear about them, the letters that no one bothers to read, letters like the following are common to mass mailings. Try to disguise the fact that they are selling something. Try to disguise the fact they are selling something. Offer to give something away for nothing. Ask for a few minutes of your time. Make outlandish promises. Are obviously computer generated, address you by your first name and try to sound chummy, tell you that you have been chosen for some honor or special privilege, but only if you act now. Pose a question you could not possibly respond to negatively, such as, how would you like to win 250,000 cash, a villa on the Riviera, or a new sports car? Such letters are considered successful if they achieve a 4% response. Too many business people rely on these mass mailing approaches in their business correspondence and put people off unnecessarily. You cannot afford to create the wrong impression. Shout out to WhatsApp in universities, right? Because they're all trying to network within their groups to see who's going to be put on or who's going to be put off within whatever they're mailing as far as their news in their network. You cannot afford to create the wrong impression. Your correspondence must be 100% effective, keeping your letters out of the wastebasket. Most of the advice offered below is common sense and should be followed in all business communication. But because of the permanence of the written word, it is especially important to bear in mind when writing letters. Imagine what would happen if your letter were photocopied and circulated. If you make a big enough fool of yourself, it might be. Don't boast, brag, or search for compliments. Don't show off. The effect wears thin on a second reading. Don't show off. The effect wears thin on a second reading. So just be casual, right? Be modest, right? Be a different type of, don't be like a not self, I guess. Don't use a big vocabulary, either general or technical. Sesquipedalianism. So there's a word I've never heard. Sesquipedalianism obfuscates pellicity, if you get my drift. Sesquipedalianism obfuscates pellicity, if you get my drift. I'll define that tomorrow. Don't make blind assumptions about what the reader wants or needs. If you're wrong, you lose all your credibility. Don't write a legalistic letter in the hopes of convincing someone of your position. Don't use nicknames unless you're on those terms with the other person. Don't be familiar. Don't make reference to personal matters in the other person's life. Don't send regards to people you have never met except at Christmas. Don't be insincere. Don't complain. Don't undermine. So, keeping your letter out of the wastebasket. What you should never put into writing. Damn, it's kind of synchronistic for me, right? Never use a letter to set someone up. Never threaten. Threatening to apply pressure, take punitive action, or seek sanctions can and will work against you. Just indicate that you want to avoid unnecessary problems and resolve differences agreeably. No choice. Pointing out dire consequences to frighten the other party to get them to act the way you want is a manipulation. If you feel you have to take intimidating action, do so face to face, not in writing. Threatening is a negotiating tactic. So that's the thing. It's like people don't realize how much I've shown up to things and just have some type of, in a non-spiritual way, just have some type of presence, right? So that's the thing. It's like, I feel like on an esoteric level, I've earned to say what I've said because I've showed it. Like, people don't understand. I've showed up so many times and things are just what they are, you know? And as I've like, you know, stood there to like, you know, share space, obviously confrontation could happen. And I'm there just to like, you know, just to stand ground within the organization of the different types of mechanics for as long as I need to, wherever. So that's that. And as I've like, the energy has led me to do that, right? So we can't compare in such a detrimental way because we've all been led to where we've been led from different survival avenues to fucking do a different mission. So I understand what he's saying. I'm not gonna like, and obviously I understand how people could just have like, be on some like deck, like some, just on some shit, you know? Just indicate that you want to avoid unnecessarily problems and resolve differences agreeably. Pointing out dire consequences to frighten the other party to get them to act the way you want is a manipulation. If you feel you have to take intimidating action, do so face to face, not in writing. Threatening is a negotiating tactic, and a questionable one at that. It creates anxiety, and you need to be in the other person's presence to make it work for you. Otherwise, if the other person takes your threatening letter seriously, he only hardens in his position and makes resolution more difficult. If he doesn't take it seriously, you only look foolish. Never let off steam in a business letter. While venting anger in a personal letter is useful, it violates good business practice. So obviously maybe I was my own greatest enemy without realizing it. So that's my learning curve, right? I'm in my own learning curve, and you know where I'm at, I have to take some new responsibility, right? Like, we are our own greatest enemies, you know, aside from just like, you know, really rediscovering that like newly, you know, in a unique way, right? Self-enemy, right? Whatevs. Never put someone down. If you have a criticism, make it in person so you can prepare the other person and study his or her reaction. So you can see their authentic response and where they're at, where their problem is at. Because like, if people want to criticize me behind the scenes, that says so much shit, right? It says so much shit of where they're at as a leader, right? They're not leading the group to some type of promised land. They're just setting off the promised land for some weird fucking, like some weird demonic game shit, right? Literally. Thank the predecessors. So criticizing puts people on the defensive, closing them off to new ideas. So a fucking esoteric, the esoteric guides and teams see that. Criticizing people in a letter because of the physical distance between parties only increases isolation and negativity beyond the two-dimensionality. I must emphasize miraculously. Never criticize another person's company, employees, tactics, judgment, policy, or attitude. So don't criticize them. People take it to heart. People get, you know, it happens to the best of us. People could get butt. So it happens to the best of us. But like, you gotta recognize the intention. You gotta recognize the mission. Like, you know, no one's perfect. You know, never criticize another. But like, if someone's doing some shady shit, there's a difference. So maybe someone's doing some shady shit because too much butt happened. Never mind. Never criticize another person's company, employees, tactics, judgment, policy, or attitude. Consider how he would react to such a comment. What is his alternative but to react negatively? If you have helpful suggestions to make, Do so when asked to or when the suggestion can be heard and implemented. Never send a letter without a clear purpose. Never lead someone on. The effective business letter. Assume a favorable result. Before you write a letter, remind yourself of your long-term goals. Assume that the best possible situation will eventually resolve and make your letter a step toward that desired success. Yes. Thank you. Reflect this positive attitude throughout your letter, especially the difficult sections. Point out problems with confidence since your intention is to resolve them. Do not use them to break the business relationship. Imagine for a moment that several years have passed and you have accompanied your goals. Borrow optimism from that future viewpoint and indicate what you should do to correct the present situation. That is your letter. Put it down. How you convey your intention depends on who you are writing to and what their needs are, but you must always be true to your own style and taste. NHD. Everyone who writes effective letters projects a good sense of him or herself. Letters projects a good sense of him or herself. When you think you hear a voice speaking in your head, try to write in that voice without adding to it. The flow you seek to capture in your writing is your natural progression from thought to thought. Put it all down as it comes to you. Trust yourself. Don't judge. Edit later. So it's not that I'm saying the same thing in different ways. No, different themes are having the same wisdom, essence, energy, and it's being transited through different fields of life. So whoever says you're saying the same things in different ways, no, there's fucking life is like it. There's so many different themes that are happening. A business letter longer than 1 page is unnecessary. It only reflects your disorganization. A long, involved letter indicates that you don't think well enough of your ideas to make them precise and understandable. Take the time to make your letter short. A long letter means you do not value your reader's time. It means you don't know what you want. It says you are too unsure to come directly to the point. This gives you reading power to grasp, accept, or reject. It says you respect your reader's decision-making power by presenting the facts clearly. It shows that you believe in yourself. Form for the correct business letter. Salutation. Keep it simple. Avoid being familiar. Yeah. Salutations. Yeah, we get it. Salutations. Oh, wait. No, he had that in italics. Salutation. Keep it simple. Avoid being familiar. Opening paragraph. State the purpose of the letter in a single sentence. Make a statement and indicate the reasons for your belief. State the facts clearly without slanting them. Interpret these facts briefly if necessary. Paragraph 2, state your position, make your offer, summarize your expectations to work together profitably. Wow. So look at, we're preparing for the face-to-face as well, because the chapter 4 face-to-face, it could come and go. Now we're in the writing phase of it. So after you write a business proposal letter, then you're going to quote unquote bring it to someone in some type of network so they can respond if they want to be a business partner with you. Business synergistics. So opening paragraph, state the purpose of the letter in a single sentence. Make a statement and indicate the reasons for your belief. State the facts clearly and without slanting them. Interpret these facts briefly if necessary. Paragraph 2, state your position. Make your offer, summarize your expectations to work together profitably. Closing, reflect your positive attitude. Reflect the positivity. Be kind. If you can't see a profitable outcome in doing business with the other person, you shouldn't write the letter. If you are saying no to someone else's proposal, do so in the first sentence and close. Be respectful, please. Be respectful, God damn it. If you think you might like to do business with this person at some future time, be sure you indicate that you are receptive to further discussions. Remember, this may be the only opportunity you'll have to do business together. If you don't want to do business, thank the other person for this interest, but indicate clearly that you have no opportunity for doing business with him at this time. The correct business letter is simple and direct. It states its message at the outset. An attitude check. After you finish the letter, read it. Does it convey what you intended? Is there any way the reader might confuse your meaning? Consider how that person will react. Is there any other way that one could react? What is the attitude of the person writing the letter? What's their like esoteric mood of emotions that they're like long-term in? Is it sincere, pushy, selling, desperate, angry, uncertain, or vague? What impression does it make on you? Would you be encouraged to do business with this person? Is the letter too personal, too stiff, too tentative, or too rigid? Can you summarize the letter in a single sentence? Is that sentence in the letter? Or better yet, should that sentence be the letter? Is there anything about your letter that could put someone off? If you received this letter, when would you stop reading? Why is it longer than that? How would you respond to this letter? The letters no one could overlook. I'd say fuck yeah for the truth. And ouch, this is the result of, certain, anti-source things. If I were to read my own shit, I'd be like, wow, this guy is like perceiving anti-source. So are you anti-source? What percentage are certain denominations of religions, aside from the narrative surface level agenda, how are you anti-source? Casually saying that with advanced esoteric science and still respecting the pure order of pure pagan Christianity, respecting pure pagan Catholicism, seeing the difference between the purity of it and how it can be used casually, advanced esoteric science intelligence. So the letters no one could overlook, the single sentence letter, designing your letter as a telegram is a wonderfully effective if you know precisely what you want and are sure of yourself. The one sentence letter is intensely personal and reveals even more about you than a longer letter. It could be a powerful statement of your confidence, but you risk having it backfire because you have to expose yourself in a single sentence without introduction, exposition, explanation, qualification, or second chance. You are much more vulnerable and can be misunderstood. You also risk overpowering a less secure person. You may feel the need to put you down and not take you seriously. The single word letter is even more effective, has even greater impact, and is even riskier. Quotable and provocative, it requires creativity and brimming self-confidence. A good example is General Patton's response when asked to surrender. Nuts, he said, but always think of the person receiving the letter and measure the effect of the impact. My shit is like, it's like a different type of synchronicity. It really is, though. Remember, you write to get results. Ask yourself if your letter will achieve the results you want. If it won't, don't send it. Why are we doing this internet shit? To balance some other shit. Because obviously it kind of like, this chapter cross-references with, internet shit, right? Letters other people want to read. Good news. The truth is good news. The truth that helps you. My internet shit is the truth that helps you. Praise. I praise you for making it this far. Positive feedback. Good job. Confirmation of the rightness of their decision or policy. You made the right choice by choosing to keep following my peer rhetoric. There's some type of subconscious making the choice, and then the dislike trying to go away from it, and you being at a dual choice, not good, not bad, vantage point. Confirmation of the righteousness of their confirmation of the rightness of their decision or policy. The frameable letter. You have great power to validate others merely by writing a letter expressing your appreciation. Giving positive feedback reassures people that someone notices them and values their contribution. Receiving a letter like this can be an important event in another person's life. If you decide to write such a letter, avoid using the pronoun I. The subject of this letter is not intended as flattery or to win esteem for you, but to give sincere recognition. If you think the other person will be suspicious, begin with a brief explanation. Tell how long you've been thinking about writing and how deserved your praises. Keep it brief and unembarrassing. Receiving it should make the other person proud, happy, and enjoy sharing it with someone else. Obviously, there's disclaimers on my shit. The self-serving letter. The self-serving letter is usually written at a time of conflict between you and the recipient. It attempts to create evidence by setting forth your viewpoint of the dispute as if it represents the true facts. It does not try to be even-handed. It is written with the hope that the recipient will show it to his lawyer, who will then discourage him from taking action unfavorable to you. Therefore, it states the fact, and Cloud Law or Manus Law, they recognize the balance and the truth of that shit. And that's a different discussion. Therefore, it states the facts as you see them, and by prejudicially relating how the other person presented himself, justifies your actions. The self-serving letter defines a context, quoting the other person, referring to critical documents and events, establishing the correctness of your argument, and the thin grounds of the other person's reasoning are its essence. It puts people on notice. It states your willingness to stand up for your rights and to take action. It is meant to intimidate the other person. It does not invite debate and is a way of calling the other person's bluff. It is often one small step removed from litigation. So the subconscious knew this shit the whole time. Even before all my enemies were born, the subconscious knew it. The memo. The best way to think of a memo is as a directive in another person's life. Call on Smith first. If he accepts, use it to sell Jones. Don't respond if he asks. Just say you don't know. Some of the best memos comment on job performance. Think of them as a grade if you like. They should always be brief. They should always be necessary. They should extend your influence by carrying forth your attitude and intention. Examples of effective memos. Great, I agree. Present this to your chief yourself. It's wonderful and you deserve the credit. Are you figures? Mistaken on items 4 and 5? Too long. Good direction. See me about this. More. Fixed section on inventory. Otherwise, fine. A single question makes an ideal memo, especially when attached to an article or document. Sell? Hold? Buy more? Should we be involved in this? All questions. Should we sell? Should we hold? Should we buy more? Should we be involved? Should we get more barrels of fish? Should we get more sardines? Should we get more Donkey Kong in the paint of the scenery? Do you think the competition knows about this? A memo should be as private as a personal letter. So keep it on the low, right? Because one time I was working at this hotel by the beach nearby, and I wrote a memo to a boss, and he threw a fit, one of many different gig jobs. But I left him a memo, and he had like a pity party, through like me coming the next day and him being a no-show when he was supposed to be there, right? So there's people in casual good positions that are esoterically, scientifically, just toxic, right? A memo should be. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that's that's in the shift you're in. I'm not trying to point out every fucking toxic person. I'm just saying there's a particular shift happening, and we have subjective shifts in this collective shift, right? Oh shift. Did that just shift and happen? Oh shift. Yeah. No shift. Oh, no shift way. Aw, shift. Yeah, and that's an old meme. That's an old meme, I think somewhere in there. Holy shift. Shift McBobs. A memo should be as private as a personal letter. It is an intimate comment that shapes another's actions. It is a spur, a form of feedback. A good memo is also a reward and can lift the spirits of the receiver and increase productivity. So like a good job, a thank you letter, a thank you card, right? So maybe Taurus season, all of a sudden now thank you cards are fucking on the fucking e-market of fucking KDP, AmaZB, ShleeBB, Surya fucking sees the fucking peering into the Vedic language. Sees it pre-replication, your motherfucking trick. So the memo is a simple and so thank you cards, right? Thank you cards. Like I'm not like, if the influence is used in different ways, right? Because if you have a quote unquote, and I'm not an expert at this, mind you, I'm just my own researcher, intuitive, right? Whatever. But obviously, Shopify is adapting to the shift of evolutional energy, right? Respectively. So if they pick up on like, thank you cards, then that's cool, more gratitude, right? Maybe that gratitude could come over here without, the toxic, demon games, over amplified particular context of demon, right? We're misunderstanding the terms, and we're subscribing to false terms, and those false terms are giving us our behavior, our intelligence, and our emotions, and our mood, and our new habitual patterns to go towards a certain particular real, originally disclosed type of ascension path or a false ascension path. So mind the disclosures, mind the discerning, mind the discersion. I can't wait to start making music again, whenever I do. And it'll be different. It already is. The memo is a simple and effective way to bolster someone's pride. It is a direct and informal form of communication whose impact is often underestimated. It takes only a moment to send a memo. Send a memo when you feel good about someone's work. Sharing your feelings builds confidence and loyalty. It provides immediate gratification and offers positive reinforcement. I am happy and honored, and I feel grateful for all the awesome people that are attempting to understand my content script stuff. I appreciate you awesome people to choose the higher intelligence octave and to understand the why and not get lost in the detrimental energies of the matrix as I ring the irony bell. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty. It's for the esoteric science of it. It makes a habit of expressing appreciation. Counterproductive memos are negative intrusions in the working day. They criticize, nag, go on for 2 and 3 and 4 pages that no one wants or bothers to read, silly Sally, and leave the receiver feeling defeated, like quitting, demoralized, inferior, or found out again. So that's a counterproductive memo, right? People be getting negative comments, right? Like, whoa, I'm the best. That was just a metaphor. If you have an important criticism to make, a memo is not the right place to express yourself. Try meeting face to face with the other person. And if there's a professional arrangement or lack thereof, the professional arrangement, obviously. So there's a disclaimer, like you approach your shit on your responsibility, right? Because we're not all in the same professional arrangement as another, right? For whatever reason. If you have an important criticism to make, a memo is not the right place to express yourself. I read that. Counterproductive, when you write a negative memo, you usually hurt the other person. Counterproductive memos demand replies, additional reports, long explanations, and follow-ups. In short, they waste time and money and undermine confidence and enthusiasm. Negative memos are almost always the product of a controlling, self-important, rigid person who is out of touch with the people who work with or for him and who is uncomfortable dealing with people directly. So don't be overly self-important. There can't be. I mean, I don't know. That's a different subject. But obviously, you have to be selfish. I understand that part. You have to look after you first. That's understood. That disclaimer is there. Everyone who works with this person knows this except the person in question. People like this use memos as a form of punishment. They see the memo as instruction, but really use it to force their way on others. So it's really do your job, I don't think people, giving orders outside of the chain of command, should do that, right? But if they do that, then, the chain of command, they're aloof, right? Because people like this use memos as a form of punishment. They see the memo as instruction, but really use it to force their way on others. They never take the time to think how the other person receiving the memo will feel. So out of pocket, out of line, you know, out of like, is this really your job? And if it's not your job, you're doing it in an unwarranted approach. Almost always their memos create more stress. But like if that happens, you know, that does happen where people could just pretend to be the boss, right? So there's people pretending to be the boss, right? So since you're pretending to be the boss, that's already creates, within the lack of the organized infrastructure within the work dynamic, it already creates some type of like aloofness, like, right? So it's like, that means his boss is kind of aloof because he's allowing that, and there's a lack of intelligence within certain work dynamics, right? So like that's a different discussion as well, you know, pretending to be the boss. That's a different discussion, but that was within the paint of these paragraphs. You can include negative comments in a memo if you do so with a positive attitude that conveys hopefulness, a belief in the other person, and a direction that will resolve the difficulty. Almost always, their memos create more stress and do not move the problem any closer to solution. You could include negative comments in a memo if you do so with a positive attitude that conveys hopefulness, a belief in the other person, and a direction that will resolve the difficulty. So for some reason, the lack of resolve is left unchecked. So that's why policies like me fueling future esoteric policies, they're there so there could be some type of comfort, socially and professionally, comfort and intelligence in your fucking field, whatever the fuck field you're in. If you must write a negative memo just to get the negativity out of your system, do so, but don't send it. If you value your ideas, take time to be clear about sharing them and design your written work to bring you closer to your goals. You can include, so the second to last paragraph, you can include negative comments in a memo if you do so with a positive attitude that conveys hopefulness, a belief in the other person, and a direction that will resolve the difficulty. So that's a different one. Chapter 7, how to run a business meeting, the formal business meeting. So getting together after the face-to-face, the professional relationships, they're on go. They're saying yes, they're on par, right? And now and that's cool. If people get to that, you know, however they get to it, great. You know, I don't judge, you know, I've ran through, you know, I've done like, you know, I've had like 10 cars, you know, and within me having 10 cars, you know, so there are jobs that I was apprehensive of taking, like good jobs. I was apprehensive because of I was concerned with commutes, or certain jobs I did make and just kind of ran with that for a little bit, or some jobs I just didn't catch, you know? So me having like 10 cars, it really kind of subjugated my unique journey, right? Chapter 58 of the Tao to close it. When the government is unobtrusive, when the government, and this is just its own synchronicity, nothing against, you know, any government, you know, but just that's a different discussion. When the government is unobtrusive, the people are pure. When the government is invasive, the people are wanting, clawing even. Calamity is what fortune depends on. Fortune is what calamity subdues. Calamity is what fortune depends on. Fortune is what calamity subdues. So calamity subdues fortune on the other side. Who knows how it will all end? Is there no right and wrong? The orthodox also becomes unorthodox after the passing of seasons, right? The good also becomes ill. People's confusion is indeed long-standing. Therefore, sages are upright without causing injury, honest without hurting, direct but not tactless, illumined but not flashy. So should I do a beat or should I just conclude it? I'll play a beat, a random beat, whatever beat comes on first. Maybe I'll look at some notes, but there's some stuff stuff I'm saving for later. But the beat, should I put on a beat or nah? So the first beat that comes up, the beat, should I put my headphones in? So the beats, respectively, what do you not understand? But respect, like real mindfulness, right? The predecessors are saying mindfulness. Let me see. No beats are coming up. What the fuck? That's rare. No beats. I'm scrolling through my YouTube. So everybody attempting to hate on my shit, in the beginning of this podcast, I explained to raise your perception casually, where to not look at the two-dimensionality of what I'm saying and to look at it respectively in a different context. I'm trying to put on a beat. It's not coming on. Okay, this is it. Some random, I don't even know if it's gonna go, you know. Yeah. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can't candy cane land. You can't make the camel drink. You can lead a horse to water, buck-eyed horse. Insanity is how I'm plummeting through. You can lead a horse to water. I come fresh off the press, steam press. I be coming way hotter, playful like an otter. Slay y'all, play y'all. Don't mean to disrespect y'all. I just wanna infect y'all, bless y'all. I just gotta detect y'all, unrecognizable in my fucking spirit form. Form it, craft it, play-doh it, clay dough it, demolish it, repolish the shit. Too honest with it, too raw with the shit, too hot with the shit. Now you gotta thaw this shit, yo. I'm the top of the shit. I'm the top guy in the shit. Yo, you can lead, bang, buck, boom, bada bing. No one does it hotter than me, hotter than steam. Steam press off the newsletter like Mary Jane, Peter Parker, snapping cameras for James Jonason, yo, Jonas, yo, the coldest, the oldest, the boldest, the most flourishing, yo, like blossom fields. I be coming ever so flower evanescently like colorful, wonderful, yo, despicable, yo, too typical, ever so mythical, prolifical, yo, ever so indefinable, yo, ever so lyrical, spiritual, yo, I will come in all my inner tendencies every time I'm vampirical, yo, get the gin and tonic too. I'm sonic too. I bombed you. I blast past you like a comet do. I ain't give a fuck. I know I'm nutty like pistachios or macadamia do. Yo, macaframalamadocious, explosive. I'm erosion. I'm spurting it, yo, and I'm spurting it, speeding it up like Speedy Gonzalez did. Yo, what's up? Shoddy Kid is here. With the Spotty Kid is here. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink in the inner bank, drink in the inner tank, drink in this blood bank, drink in this ambulance. Yo, someone call the ambulance, cause my haters crying again while I'm flying again, never dying again, scribing it again, observing Tahuti do his motherfucking thing. Who's the most fucking
of them all. Ball, brawl, star, blah, 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 yo. Big balls with this new fucking esoteric Richter, off the fucking scheme, off the motherfucking schematic diagram, in a play, press board, press 2, press 3, press 4, yo, step on me, boom, biggity plow, I'm a fucking claymore, hey ho, I ain't give a fuck, you fucking crack head, yo, coming off like it undead, slaying them all, yo, making my bread, never gonna end, yo, elegant of all, yo, terminal, circular, yo. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, drink, drink. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, drink. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it fucking drink. Fuck what you think, slinky dink, motherfucker, up and down the fucking roller rink, yo, you kink. I'm fucking the missing motherfucking link chink in your fucking fake ass fucking deadly armor, motherfucker balling on some other shit, brink to insanity, brink on the fucking horizon of Mount Canyon, Mount Rushmore, gush more, make a gush more when I rush more, I bust more, blust more, motherfucker, more guns, ho, yo. On some other shit with the motherfucking different Richter. I'm sick of my Reaper, Sight 2. I ain't give a fuck, do anything you want, perfect comparison, beyond fight you.